Today I will be showing you how to draw the face, the difference between the male face and the female face. Okay, let's get started here drawing the male face versus the female face. The first thing you want to do is draw the head. There are a lot of similarities, but there are some differences, and hopefully I will cover them in this video. Alright, so the first thing you do, you know that the head is shaped like an egg. More larger at the top than it is at the bottom, but a lot of people have trouble, a lot of students that had trouble drawing that. So there are three different ways you can draw that. You can do it this way. You can draw your circle, and then you want to put not a U or V, not the letter U or the letter V, but a combination of that. Just round it out. Now don't worry about the actual shape right now, because later on we will manipulate it to give it the shape that we want. Or the third way is just draw a rectangle, the size rectangle you need. As I say, don't worry about the lines being perfect or anything like that, because later on we will change the shape. So from that, you might say, how are we going to do that? How are you going to change that into this? Well, you just round it off like so, and at the bottom, somewhere near close to the bottom, you just make this shape again, like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's almost like an oval. As I say, as we go along, we will open this shape up or close this shape to manipulate it. But those are your three choices you have to make the face. So I'm going to stick with this one, and I will do the male and the female side by side so that you can see. So switch paper, and then we will draw the egg shape again. And I'll use this one for the female, and I will do the male in the rectangle, like so. And then you just want to round the top off. And usually the male's face is more square than the female. Not so much that it's bigger, it's just more square. I just made it a little bigger just because I'm difficult that way. So, okay, the rule for drawing faces is remembering half, and half. So the first thing you do, and I think I will work on the female face and then do the male face without any audio, and you can just follow along with me. So the first thing you want to do is you want to split it in half, like so. Same for the male. Split it in half. Then I always turn my paper to the side. A lot of people won't turn their paper. It's just easier for them to draw when you turn your paper sideways, and you should always turn it as you draw as well. So from here to here, you want to go somewhere half, and this pencil is really giving me trouble. So you want to figure half, and then once you're just going to have that plus symbol, half of that. So from here, I'll turn it here. From here, you want to go half again. So I would say about right there. And then from here to here, you want to go half again. I would say about right here. And don't worry about it. We will adjust the whole thing as we go along, because these 3 lines or 4 lines represent your split down your face, and this will be the direction. If your face turned, or if you looked in whatever direction, this center line would go in that direction that you're turning. This line would be your eye line. This is where your nose sits, and this is where your mouth is. So, and I'll just draw some crazy round eyes. So wherever you turned or looked, that line would follow. That would be your direction line. So now, from here to here, now let's work on the eye line. The eyes are going to sit on this line. Now the face is supposed to be 5 eyes wide, which means it will hold 5 eyes. 3, 4, and 5. And that's supposed to be your perfect size of your face. But as I said, a lot of people have different size faces, different shaped faces. So don't be discouraged if you draw a face and say, oh, that's not perfect. Look around and see if there is a perfect face. You might have 1 or 2 perfect proportion faces, supermodels, or people that do plastic surgery, but in the real world, it's not really perfect. So usually when I draw a face, face, and I'll do this guy here just to show you what I'm saying. So we'll go half. Let's say about right there. Now, I will do the center eye first, or the space for the center eye, or space large enough for an eye, or the eye that I think will fit. And then I'll just do 2 more. I won't do 5, because I'm really never trying to draw the perfect measured face. And then I'll just get rid of the center eye, and I'll just do the 3, and then the 2, and then you have it. So we'll do that. And remember, the eye is basically the shape of the football to start out with. It's a little more different than that, but it's that shape. So we'll get rid of these 2. We'll keep this center one in there for now. So what you want to do from here is, at these 2 points where they meet, and these eyes are a little close, so let me open that up just a little bit more. And as I say, don't worry about trying to get it perfect. What we're doing here is just getting your measurements. It's like a puzzle. Once you get the puzzle together, it becomes simple to draw. So I opened that up a little bit. Now what you want to do here is at this point and this point, you want to draw a line straight down to that nose line. And long ago someone measured the face and they used the eyes as the ruler for faces. So your nose is supposed to be 1 eye wide. So for now we're just going to do just a small V for the nose. Now from the center of your eye down, straight down to the mouth line, that's as wide as your mouth should be. And I will continue to say it. Some people have wide mouths, some people have short mouths, narrow mouths. So don't worry about it. We're just using the standard grid, shall we say, to put a face together. Now, from this line here and your nose line, we'll bring that all the way over, is where your ear falls. Same thing here. This line is where your ear falls. And doing the ear is just like doing an oval. Let's bring this down. It's doing an oval, but just tilt it a little bit, like so. So this is basically just an oval. And then you just erase the part that comes into the face. Now, for a woman, her neck, a man's neck will come from right here to about here. But let me draw that. Let me get rid of this guy first, because he's in the way. But by doing that, you see the difference in how thick that neck becomes, and it changes the perspective of this face. So a woman's neck, I would bring it in more. And you can see the difference already by just bringing the neck in, making it a little more narrower. That's one of the hard words for me. Just like so. So, now that we have the proportions set, let's get rid of these lines, some of these lines. Get rid of that. The nose. The center eye. And the line over the mouth. So you're stuck with that, and then your face is pretty much done. Let's get rid of these lines in the eyes because it's starting to look like an alien. So as I say, you're pretty much done now. The rest is detail. Now for the woman, put this line back. For the woman, when I do the woman's eyes, this point and this point, I will bring this point up, and I'll show you what I'm saying. From here, like that, I will bring this point not on that line. You see how this line is down here and this point is up here? I always lift the woman's eyes up at this point. It just gives it more of a sharper look. So the same thing on this side. And forgive me, but I turn my paper because it's just easier, and I said it before, to pull your pencil than to push your pencil. So I'll bring that up, and you keep the football shape. And I said that point is higher than there, but this line is still on that eye line. So I can clean that up a little bit. And it gives it more of a female eye, and you shape it up a little bit because one eye looks a little bigger than the other. But that's only when you're starting to do your detail. Right now, this is just, as I said, these are just your guides to do your face. Now, the nose in art, the nose is considered ugly. I don't know why, but most times you see a picture, they only draw like a slight nose, and I'll use this back here again. You have your eye, and they'll just bring the nose down and then just give you a slight nose like that. Maybe some nostrils, and then the mouth. Because, as I say, the nose is considered ugly because you put too many lines in the nose, and it takes away from the rest of the face. And we all know that women always use makeup to, to not highlight the eyes, but to more focus on the eyes and focus on the lips. But it's never the nose. Now, they might put some powder on the nose to reduce the shadow, but the nose is never really the focal point of the face. It's always the eyes and the lips. So the less nose you can draw on a female, the better it is. You can get away with it. So let me shape this nose up. And the nose is basically, it's a triangle shape. Basically like this. And you have your nostrils come out, and you have this skin right here, like that. So that's your nose, but as you see, the more you draw, the more it takes away from the face. So the less nose you can draw on a woman, the better. Now this would be fine for a man, but a woman, you want to draw as little nose as possible. So I'm taking this off, and I'm going to draw even a smaller nose. And the nose is basically, if you draw a V, an open V, and you curve it, just like this. These are your nostrils, and then you have that skin, or that flap of skin that comes around, just like that. That would be that, and you have the bone that comes into like another open triangle almost, and it comes down, and all this would be shaded right there, and then it comes up all the way up to here. So that's your basic shape of your nose. And as I say, the less you can draw, the better for the woman. And I'll give her smaller nostrils. And then I won't put so much in there. And then I may, refine this a little bit and take some of it away. But for now, I'm just doing it this way, just to see how much is enough, shall we say. And I'll hold right there. Now, if you saw the video on doing the female lips, doing the female lips, there is always on someone's face this little teardrop. As my grandmother used to call it a snot catcher, because when your nose runs, or when mine did when I was young, all the snot would like pile up there when I was sick. So you have that, and that forms the shape of the female mouth. So you always have this V, and then a dome shape like that. As I say, check out the video on drawing lips, and that's crooked as I can see already, but from my angle that I'm sitting at, it's kind of hard to see because I have the camera positioned in a certain way. But as I say, this is not perfection. We're not going for a pretty drawing here. If you want to see somebody draw just 20 minutes of a pretty drawing, and there are plenty of other videos. This series is designed to teach those that really want to learn how to draw step by step. Now, to do this, if it was hard to do that, that's a little off, but that's all right. You could have just drew a line, put a dome here, and a dome here. And that's basically almost like the eye. And that's basically how you draw the mouth. And then you add the V in the center. So, now, let's do that. And as I stated in my video, I won't bring to this point and this point, I won't bring, not the female's mouth to these points. I'll bring it in more, maybe to that point and to that point. And I'll turn this over again. Like that. And this is just a preference that I do. I will leave this extra space for the female lips. And yes, it is crooked, but as I say, from the angle that I'm sitting. I'm not right over top of it so that the camera can pick it up, and usually I'll have my paper tilted more, or the table tilted more, so that I can see better. So it's hard to see straight on. Maybe when these videos take off, I'll be able to buy a professional camera. But for now, I am filming with my tablet. And it works just fine to a point. Okay, so we have that. Now, the female eye. Usually people will draw, and the beginners will draw eyelashes like this. You know, don't do that. It's easier to just draw a one piece, and we'll go from this corner. I'll show you. We'll go from this corner all the way over, just one piece, like so, following the curve of the eye, and then just darken that in. And it, depending on how big a face you're drawing, that you have to draw, you know, single strokes of the eyelash. But usually my background is in comics, so a lot of my faces in comics tend to be that size. You know, you might have a close-up, but a face that size, you lose it. You lose all your detail once it's shrunk down and printed. And so no one will see all those lashes, so it's easier to just draw one piece. Now, every now and then, if it's a close enough eye, I will give it a few strands, like so, a little better than that, but just a few strands like that. And under the bottom, same thing. From that corner, you go down and around, but you only go halfway around. Don't take it all the way around. Kind of looks like a gothic girl. And I'll drop this down some too. Like so, and like so. And I'll do the other side. From that point to there, and from that, halfway. And just darken that. And if I ink this, it would show better, as I say. And if I needed be, I will show just a few strands, like so. And then over the eye, and I'll use the male's eye, there is that extra fold of skin when you open and close your eye. When you open it, that fold of skin folds right there. Now for the woman, if she had eyelashes, or long eyelashes, that fold of skin would go behind that lash, and you would see just a little bit on the side. So it would be something like this. And that skin also trails down to where the nose would come out, like so. You know, see, if I put the other side of the nose on, now, you know, I'm losing the beauty of the woman. So just as less lines as possible. And I take this out too. I never really leave that in, because that takes away from the mouth. And that mouth is so crooked. Let me look at it upside down. And that's another way that you can gauge your picture. When you finish drawing a picture and you want to check your proportions, turn it upside down. Turn it upside, and it's like looking at it through another set of eyes. Or take a mirror and hold it up in the mirror, and then you can see some of your flaws and mistakes, because as I say, it's like looking through somebody else's eyes. And the lip, just being picky now, there's a small V under the bottom, and it actually curves up, not that much, and down, like so. And then some women have that lump right there in the middle, depending, you know, on how thick the lips are, and then that split right there. So that's the woman. Let's do the man's face. With the male face, usually I'll have it more square than the woman, so I will square the eyes off more. You know, because square men have that, rugged men have that square jaw, so I'll try to keep a lot of it squared off. And as I say, this is crooked, I'm seeing it, but this is just a tutorial. This is not, oh, how great can I draw? And as I said, we want to come down for the nose. Halfway. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. I know how to do this already. Half of this to this is about right here, and half of this to this is about right here. And you can raise that up. You can always give that person more chin, less chin, wider chin. you know, once you get the face proportions, you can change the shape of the head. So from here to here, that's your nose, and from the center of the eye down, that's your mouth. That is wide as your mouth. It's supposed to be, but you know that doesn't happen in real life. So we'll draw the man's nose, and I'll do another V for this guy. And because this line is crooked, you know, that throws a lot of everything else off, but I'm going to stop apologizing for a crooked face, because in the end, you can fix it up. And then I'll give this guy more of this. For the sake of time, I need to speed it up. Square this off here and bring it up, and then here, like so. And then now, the woman's mouth and the man's mouth, I rarely ever give the man the upper lip. I will do this, and I'll move this up just because it's a little low, and I'll just give him the bottom lip, and I don't do this. I'll just do and not connect it, like so, and I just shape the front, the top up, top mouth up, top of the mouth up, like so. As I say, my background is in comics, so my drawings tend to have that comic feel. Now, if the face is close enough or big enough, and I need to do that top lip, I'll do just a very narrow and not really even connected, to just give you the feel of, oh, this guy has a top lip. So, lip, nose, and we'll go for the eye. And a lot of times when I draw eyes, I don't really connect the bottom, but that's just me. You know, once you start drawing, you get your own feel for how you like things. So let's remove this center eye. I don't need this anymore. And a couple of these extra lines. And as I say, once you have your face in the proportions that you want, then we can always change, because this is wider. Actually, this is wider over here than it is over here. And you can change that, which is no problem, because your eraser is your friend. Don't be afraid to erase. I had a lot of young students that I taught would not erase, but when you erase, you're saying to yourself, that's not right, and I can do it better. And the more times you draw something, a square, you know, the better you become. So don't be afraid to erase it, because you're just saying to yourself, oh, that's not right, and I can do better, young students. So this guy's looking pretty sad because his eye is drooping. And then I'll do a video on emotions, because you can do, you know, eyes this way, and you know, it makes a person look sad, and you can do the eyes, you know, this way, you know, and it makes a person look mad. So depending on how your eyes are formed is your expression, because comics or drawing the face is about expression. Especially in comics, you know, we always draw that angry villain or the triumphant hero, and you have to give that expression in the face, because that's the first thing people look at. What does the face look like? What is the face saying and doing? Now we have that, and I'll give him this, and we'll bring this down here. As I said, that gauges where the nose goes to. And bring this up. Darken this and darken that, and the eyes are, of course, round. You know, and when I say draw the eyes like this, that's not the eye. That is just the slit in the face that holds the eye, keeps the eye in, because the eye is round, of course, and it's just behind that slit like that. So the eye would be like this. The entire eye would be something like that. But we're just drawing the pupil and the retina. And it's just, in doing that, it's just a circle within a circle within a circle. And that's just your eye. So because you cannot see this because it's behind the head, we'll go down like this, like that. We'll do the same thing for this. And if it's hard for you to do a circle, you know, grab a coin or something that is round and you can kind of trace over it. But as I say, for this tutorial, it's just a quick one. We're doing a quick one. And this guy he does look sad. Let's lift this eye up a little bit. Maybe because he doesn't have any hair. And I'm not a hair person. I said that before. Oh, that eye's too high now. I should have left him looking sad. Anyway. Get rid of this line and go here. Now, because your eye is wet, it's constantly wet, you will have this spot, which is a light source. If you look in the mirror, you will see some light source from your ceiling light, from the sun, you know, something. So, because the eye is wet now, and that's the reason we blink, to continue to wet our eye up. So, you'll always have that spot somewhere, and then this part of the eye is black. And only when you die, you know, your eye dries up and you won't have that glare and that look. And try to keep the spots, in the white spots or the light spots, in the same place. We'll do the woman's. That's kind of big, but you know, in manga you always have the big eyes for the woman. That's your preference. Put the spot right on the edge here, and we'll put the spot on the edge here. Try to keep it. You don't want one here and one way over here. It just kind of gives them that crazy look. Like so. And then I'll darken the top, or thicken the top of this part of the eye because it's in shadow. And I think the male's eye would be a lot easier to do. And there's always a shadow under here because of your top eyelid protrudes, and your eyelashes. So you have that shadow there. Because if you look at the profile of the eye, it's more like this. And then you have your lashes here. So if the sun is coming down, you know, at this angle, you'll have your shadow from your eye here. And then your eye would be like this, with that point where your light source is coming from. And I drew this because it's angled. Your face is pretty much angled, so your eye would be angled too, that same way. It wouldn't be like this, because that makes it look like the person is looking up. So it's always angled. Get rid of some of this, and let us do his ear. As I said, this you have less space here than you do here. So at this point, I will bring it in like so. And then, as I say, from the top of your eye basically to the bottom of your nose is your ear, and you're just doing, as I said, that oval, that leaning oval. And let me get rid of some of my demonstrations here without tearing my paper up. From top of the eye to the bottom of the nose, the ear. And the ear doesn't have to be that wide. And a lot of times if you have hair, especially in a woman, it'll cover it up. You know, my daughter always says, oh, well, the ear's so big. It's just my style. Now, if you want to draw the inner ear, basically you want to come around the same way. Now, I'll stop here and then draw a second line here. And then you always have this little bump on the ear. And then I'll curve this in like that. And then there's some more inner workings of the ear. But I'll do a video later of how to draw the ear. And as I said, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. So you can see what's going on. And let's say I'll just follow this curve because the ear is shaped and it goes in and it comes out. I mean, if you want to be perfect for all those critics out there, but it's just easier to draw the oval because you're focusing on the eyes and the mouth usually because that's where your expression comes from, not really the ear. So I'll just stick with the oval. Go up and then I'll just come in just like a Y. You're making a Y. And that gives it the look that it is actually going in. I know the paper is flat and your drawing is flat, but by doing that, it actually makes it look like it's going in. Now, you can shade this darker and shade that to give it that more 3D look. And then I'll take this down. And as I said, you always have that little bump right here. And then I'll bring this in. I won't let these two really connect. And then you can have that, you know, extra piece in there. Shade that, shade that. It's not a really shading tutorial. Now for the guy, you have your cheekbone, jawbone here, and I will curve it in toward the mouth and bring it down. Not all the time, but this is just to show you, to give the man the more squarer face. You might not want to have it that protruding that much, but what I always look at is the curve. There's a curve right here, and it will come up into the forehead or to the brow, and then from there, and that's that becomes your temple. Then from there, you can give them a better head. Now I'll take this head down a little bit, and as I said, when you finish it, you always change the shape to what you want to make it a little better. Now, the jaw, I will give the male more of a square jaw. Now, from your lip, the line on your mouth, which I forgot to tell you, that is where your jaw opens and closes. So when it comes down, it's going to change angles here. So you want to come down, and it doesn't have to come straight down. It can, you can bring it in a little bit. I tend to bring mine in a little bit, and then at that point, it curves in for your chin. Now your chin can be lower, it can be higher, it can be square, it can be round, but since this guy's got more of a square face, let's go with the square chin, and let's give him like a double chin, like so. And let's get rid of some more of these lines. And you'll always use your eraser, even if you don't make a mistake, you'll have to use your eraser. So, you know, what's the difference between erasing a mistake or erasing too many extra lines? Now, let's get rid of this because it's going to destroy the example that I'm about to give you. Now, the neck, as I said about the neck, usually I'll come down just straight from behind that, where that ear touches that point. And I'll curve it in because the neck actually comes in like this, and then you have your shoulders that curve out like that. But depending on the physique of your character, your standard neck will come like this. Now, if I'm drawing, you know, I don't want to say Captain America or the Hulk or just somebody whose physique is, you know, just massive, I will bring the neck out more like that, and immediately you can see, oh yeah, this guy, you know, he's huge, you know, because his shoulders now would be, you know, even wider. But that's only if I'm drawing some kind of a muscle character, you know, for comics. But for the standard person, just bring it down, and I'll give you another example. Say like if this guy was a teenager, I will do like the woman, and I will bring, you know, the neck in just a little bit, and, you know, almost instantly you can see, oh, you know, this guy, he has a slender body because his neck is more narrower. So if I put this back, you can see the difference between, you know, I don't want to get my hands in the way, you can see the difference between the two, you know, the two shapes, or the two sizes of the neck. But since this guy has square jawbones and a square chin, he's going to be a manly man, so we're going to leave the neck as is. We'll just bring it in and just give him a little hint of shoulders, like so. Now, the eyebrow, you want to curve this around. This goes here and shapes the eyebrow. Same thing with the other one. This would come down if you use your lines, and curve up for your eyebrows. And of course, a man's eyebrow is going to be, thicker than the females. We really don't care about our eyebrows. Women, pluck theirs and shave theirs to give it more of a thinner look. But, as a man, we don't care. We just jump up and go out. Whereas a woman may spend hours in the mirror getting her face ready. So we'll do that. So, giving her an eyebrow will give her more of a thinner eyebrow. And some people will just do the pencil eyebrows, but I usually like to give them just a little bit of something there. And let's do her ear real quick. As I said, you want to bring it up halfway, make that Y, bring it down, do that little center bump, and then curve it in, and then just some inner ear. Again, up to the Y, curve it down, center, and in. And as I say, I don't let these connect. And then you can give her some kind of inner shadow here. And yes, these ears are wider than I normally draw, but I drew it so that you can see the shape, basically, of the ear. And as I said, the ear it dips in and then it comes out here, there. So if you want to put an earring on the female, you can. Now, looking at the female's face, I will do the same thing. I'll have that round cheekbone, but I never bring it into, usually the female villains' faces usually have that line that comes in like that. I'll just use that as a guideline to come around and then narrow my cheeks out, my chin out, which is not much different from what I had. And I'll get rid of that extra lines. So as I say, when it comes into the temple, it comes and it curves around. It's nothing that you really see. It's not defined on the face, but it's just a guideline for me because now I know where the hairline would be at. So then I'll do this, get her head, the line under her head straight. And usually with a woman, it doesn't make a difference. You can leave the head crooked because if you're going to put hair on it, you're covering all this up. But just for the sake of this video, I will try to make it, and I'll bring this in a little bit more. Bring that in to give her a nice looking head. And I have to turn my paper over again, and I'm sorry about that. But I don't want to spend too much time on this head because I'm going to cover it up in a second. Get rid of this. And, you can always work, and a lot of times I will continue to define, especially the chin, until I have something that I like. But I'll leave it with this. Let's give it to this nose because it is kind of in my way. And as I said, the neck comes in and it comes into that. I can't think of what that piece is called. And you have your collarbone, and a woman's shoulders are not going to be round like a guy's. They're going to come around and it's going to be... Okay, let me stop for 1 second and apologize if the faces look different from they did just a second ago. That's because my tablet stopped while I was filming, but I continued to go through the lesson and I finished this whole thing. And then when I looked at it, I realized it stopped, so I had to erase everything that I did and put it back to basically back to the point where it stopped at. So it might be a little different, but we'll continue the lesson anyway. And as where it left off was I was doing the shoulders, and I was saying a woman's shoulder comes around, it's more flat, and then it goes into the arms. Whereas the man's shoulder is more rounded, and then from there it goes into his arm, which is, this is your trapezius muscle, and then your deltoid, which comes around like this. So yeah, don't want to get into the anatomy. I don't want to make this video any longer than it is going to be. So from here, we have, and I do this temple part because you curve it around and that gives you an indication of where the hairline is going to be at. But there are so many different hairstyles. So when you decide to do your character, you do the hairstyle that you like, you know, that fits your character. There are so many hairstyles. Like if this guy was a teacher, the standard movie or TV hairstyle would be he's kind of going bald on the top and he would have glasses. If he was an athlete, he would either have no hair or short hair. If he was a musician, he would have long hair. So, you know, television and movies have basically told us, you know, what, you know, a person should look like by their hair, their clothes, their, you know, their facial expressions. So you have to decide what you want your character to look like. So especially when it comes to doing women's hair, as I was saying earlier, it doesn't make a difference, the shape, unless the character is going to be bald. And a lot of the younger students, when they do hair, they just take it right off the top of the head like that. But always make your hair above the head to give it some body. And as I say, I'm not a big hair person, so I'll just do any kind of hair just to finish this lesson. And then also with the ears, hair usually covers the ear, especially with a woman. You'll cover the ear, so it doesn't have to be so perfect, the ear, because it's going to be covered. Just like if I have her long enough hair, I would bring it down in front of her neck and on her shoulders, and you can cover a lot of mistakes that way. Well, not even mistakes, but you can cover up a lot of parts that you didn't want to draw. And that's what I think Jim Lee had said that. There's a famous comic book artist says he loves to do capes because you can put a cape in front of the person's clothes and it covers up a lot of details that you don't want to feel like drawing. So I'll just do some more hair. And as I said, bring the hair off the top of the head and have it come down, and I'll bring hers back around, you know, and just look at, you know, magazines to see how hair would flow. And I just brought hers back around to keep it off of his. And again, I would cover up some of the ear. And then you just erase the part of the head that you won't see. And that's why I'm saying it doesn't have to be so perfect, because the hair will cover it up. And you can give her, you know, whatever type of hairdo you choose. And for the guy, the same thing. I would look at a magazine. So for this guy, I'll just give him just a standard cut. And if you do sideburns, the sideburns, you will see the sideburns on the side of the face, and it will come up over the ear. If you go get a professional haircut, you know, they'll trim it up where it's not covering the ear. So I'll bring, and it's just me, I'll bring the hair from behind the ear. Unless, you know, this guy has like long hair, which will come up from here. But, you know, he's not a rock star. He doesn't have the face of a rock star. But if you want longer hair, you know, I would bring it from the neck up like that. But as I say, this guy's not a rock star, so I'll give him the standard quick hairstyle that I usually do for guys. And then just erase the part that you don't need or that you won't see. But as I say, I would just look in any fashion magazine, you know, and just any magazine where they have models, and then see what type of hairstyle they have. And then just mimic that. You know, it might not be the right one for your character. You might, you know, put your own hairstyle on there. But I had a lot of students that created their own comic book characters, and they wanted to give them, and I'm going off the subject, but just for the young kids, they wanted to give them that kind of Goku kind of hair, which is, you know, just crazy, that they liked, that looked good from the front. You know, they worked hard trying to design it. But then I say, you know, well, what does it look like from the side? You know, how can you do that from the side? Or what does it look like from the back? You know, when he's turned away. So you don't want to just come up with some crazy hairstyle, you know, for the young kids, and you don't know what it looks like turned around, because you want to have to turn your character around sideways or from the back at some point. So stick with a hairstyle that you know that you can redraw over and over again. So back to this. And let's erase his ear. And then here, and I think I will just ink this off camera and show you what it looks like, because I'm sitting over to the left of this instead of sitting in the middle of it directly over it because of the camera angle. So some of it looks crooked, or some of it will look crooked to you, because to me it is crooked, but I'll just ink it just because. And the lips, if you look at the video I did drawing the female lips, because of the shape, the top will be darker because of the shadow from under the nose and just the way it's shaped. And usually I will put like a light source just right there. It's just something that I worked out for myself, just to give it that little look like so. And I think that will do it for this. Oh, something else I did to take a character and to a young character and to make it old, or to do an older character. What some of the things you want to do is you want to add extra lines to the face, like the wrinkles under the eye, this little piece here, you know, wrinkles. And you see how quickly this guy has aged, you know, just by doing that. So, and it's the same with a woman. I'll take this back off to make him young again. But it doesn't take many lines. That's why, especially in a woman, you want as the least amount of lines as possible. And now the guy's young again. As possible, because any extra lines on a woman, right now she's in her 40s, you know, so you do, under that she's going into her 50s, you know, and she's now at her 60s. It doesn't take much, so you don't want to put too many lines in a woman's face. And we'll bring her back down to her 20s, I would guess. And I guess that is about it. And I left that part out about the neck coming down to this, that little V. I still don't know the name of it. So let me ink this, and I will come back to you and I'll show you the finished product. And I'm still staring to see if anything I left out that I don't think that I really did, but I'll ink it and you'll see the final product in just a second. Okay, I am back and I have the finished product. I inked it and did a little pencil shading, more so on the woman than the man, but there you have it, finally finished. And I hope you enjoyed watching the video and you learned something. And if you like the videos, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And eventually I will start giving these final drawings away. I'll do more final drawings and just start giving them away to people that subscribe and like the video. But look out for information on that, and this one will probably be the first one that I give away. Alright, thank you, and keep a lookout for my next video.